Hi, thank you so much, J&J. It's great to be here today. I'm Gabrielle Stebbins. I'm a senior consultant from Energy Futures Group. And full disclaimer, I'm talking more broadly about a particular program called Zero Energy Now, in which we have had several different versions or packages of heat pump solutions. But to start off, I want to ask you, what if we were all comfortable in our homes? This is my wonderful Lola. I live in Vermont. She's pretty much always cold. What if we were actually warm in the winters and cold in the summers, and not wasting our money, throwing dollars out the window, heating and cooling outside air? And what if here in Vermont, 34% of our greenhouse gas emissions actually come from heating and cooling our buildings? What if we actually also made a dent in terms of that greenhouse gas emission climate consideration? And finally, building off of the conversation you guys were just having, what if we actually seized upon this quadruple win of addressing climate change, making people more comfortable, saving money, and building a workforce that, to what was said just a moment ago, not everybody really actually is inclined to go to college, but they might have phenomenal skills in terms of retrofitting buildings, since we have so many of our existing stock that needs quite a bit of energy improvements. So back in 2015, here in Vermont, several board members of the Building Performance Professionals Association of Vermont got together and they said, hey, how's business? And they're like, I just keep getting these little tiny pint-sized projects, and they're not very effective from a business process, and B, I know that many of my customers want more. They want more, but they don't know how to do it. So these contractors basically came up with Zero Energy Now, which Energy Futures Group has been helping out and participating in terms of implementation and program design since 2015. And Zero Energy Now really offers a comprehensive building approach. We use an in-house Excel-based building energy model that essentially optimizes the recommendations. How much solar, what size heat pump? Is it single head, ducted, ductless? Is it a ground source system? We do still here in Vermont, and I know this does not resonate for many other people in many other states, but here in Vermont, a lot of people still chop their own wood for their own heating sources. So we do have wood heat as part of our list of technologies, because Vermonters do use that and it's considered renewable here. But then that tool essentially has another layer where we bundle in all the financing products that are available, as well as the various incentives that are available. Because we're working with qualified professionals that we know that what they're doing is really top notch, and because we've done the modeling to really optimize that project, we also offer a savings guarantee. And what this has resulted in is effectively the three-legged stool that we need to truly decarbonize our economy. We know that we need to maximize efficiency. That is by air sealing, insulation, making sure we have the most efficient equipment and appliances. So we need to maximize efficiency. We also know that a key stool leg here is strategically electrifying. A lot of the homes that we've retrofitted either incorporated heat pumps and also after the fact have incorporated electric vehicles. So both for the thermal and transportation sectors. And then for the third leg of the stool, how do we take the energy that we're still consuming and make it as renewable as possible? So what we've found in most of our projects is sort of a combination of heat pumps with solar, with a fair amount of efficiency. And in 2018, we looked at 35 projects. We were only able to get the post-fuel data for 24 of them. And what we found was an average annual fossil fuel and grid-based electric savings of 64%, which for those of you who work in the home performance with Energy Star world, a lot more times the number you see is more like 10 to 15%. So achieving 64% is pretty phenomenal for an average. Average annual savings just under $2,000. And yes, we do see a range. We see a range anywhere from 10% up to 98% in these various projects. The highest that we saw of this study round of those initial 24 projects was 98% savings and just under $4,000 in energy cost savings. So I want to just showcase that There are so many homes that we've serviced, and they run the gamut. We have capes, we have colonials, we have, my favorite here is that pretty little Vermont farmhouse that looks like, you know, every 50 years, a new building structure was added with a new type of heating system. But I'll just give you an example. The upper left-hand picture, that ranch, is an older home project. It was a vintage 1957 home, about 1,300 square feet. These folks were close to retirement. They wanted to age it in home, and they wanted to really get control of their fuel costs because they were worried about moving into retirement and not necessarily being able to deal with the variable fuel costs that they were seeing through their propane and their oil systems. The project in gross cost $56,000 with all the incentives and tax credits available. It came down to about $43,000. Before they did the project, they were spending about $1,900 a year on energy costs. Post that, it was about $250 a year. We did project the savings to be about 81%, and it actually only ended up being about 54%, in part because once we left, they did end up getting an electric vehicle. So what have we learned here? I want to say that obviously with these projects and with these types of price tags, we know that most customers will need to take out a loan. We also know that in order for them to take out a loan, that loan needs to actually recognize the true value of these investments by, for example, offering longer loan terms. But the real key here is that we have proof now that energy savings can pay for these improvements. And here in Vermont, this may or may not be the same wherever you're located. Personally, here in Vermont, we need to break down our program rules, our regulations. We have a fantastic efficiency utility, and then we have distribution utilities, and the distribution utilities do the solar, and the efficiency utility does other work. And the homeowner's like, where do I go? So having a program that really brings all the pieces together so that homeowners actually get the best product at the end is really critical. Most critically, though, Zero Energy Now shows that we can achieve deep 60% and above energy savings in existing homes with available technologies. And that if we really optimize the custom package, we can get up to 100% savings in typical existing homes. So we can do it. The next piece is, how do we scale it, and how do we make it, have both the workforce as well as the financing product to move this into the next gen of having as many houses as possible make this transition. Thanks.